Walking among us are extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. Tonight we profile some of them. This is What Matters. Good evening, I'm Kathy Lewis, and welcome to this special edition of What Matters. Once again, WHRO and Dominion Virginia Power set out to find some of those people who move quietly among us, leaving a lasting legacy. And tonight we bring you the stories of those we honored last spring, and their work truly is what matters in Hampton Roads. First, in the realm of education, Mentoring Future Leaders is an organization of professional men from St. Mary's Basilica. These volunteers provide after-school tutoring and mentoring services to young African-American men at Tidewater Park Elementary School in Norfolk. They serve as role models for boys in the 4th and 5th grades, and their goals are to help students with career choices and decision-making skills.
It's doing what it asks.
The Mentoring Future Leader program began here about 5 or so years ago, actually in about 2005.
Each of the men from Mentoring Future Leaders will go to a particular grade level. They usually assist those students with the academic work that's been prepared for the afternoon. They will answer the students' questions, or they will help them, give them strategies.
They'll come to us and be like, how you doing with your work, what you need help on.
I first met Mr. Givens, who was the founder of that organization, who came to talk to us about mentoring in the school system.
I brought the dream here from Washington, D.C. I saw how important it was to help others.
When I first came over, he said, Taylor, if you can just make a difference with one child, he said that'll be good. And that's why I've been real diligent in coming back.
They gave me like study guides of math. They had helped me do my work, and I had got good grades, to a D all the way up to a B.
Put your cards in descending order. That way, or like highest to, say from highest to lowest. I like to get them to think and to understand and to comprehend, and for them to do things on their own and feel like they can, like they don't need help from others.
At first I didn't really get how to multiply decimals and divide them, and then when they helped me, I really got the understanding of it.
We pretty much kind of follow the lead of the teacher, depending on whatever subjects that they will be reviewing for that afternoon. Although we come out here on Mondays and Wednesdays, my hat goes off to the teachers. I really have to get credit where credit is due.
We'll have games, because certain people don't know how to do it the same way. So we'll have like Jeopardy games. And we have some people get it better like that.
In this Tidewater Gardens community, the kids really lack social and cultural exposure. 5 minutes away from here, we have the Addicts Theater, and I would probably imagine none of them here had that opportunity to attend any type of function in the Addicts Theater. A couple of years ago, we was able to take them to the Tides baseball game.
And it was real nice to see the students being out in a different environment other than in a classroom. It was just a good feeling.
Their purpose is just to see that the student becomes successful, a successful Norfolk citizen or wherever they go, because, we live in a global society.
Keep it down.
I have a young man that's in his first year at Norfolk State University with full scholarship, a young man that's in his second year at Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, and one young man also attends Elizabeth City. Once they come home from summer break, and they come back and ask, Mr. Givens, is there something that we can do to help the program? I told them the deal is, when you come back home, I need your help. We're here for the students. So if anything that we can do to help them further their education, that's what we're here for.
Now to the environment. Roger Fuller is a community ambassador for the Chesapeake Environmental Council. The work he's done over the past 30 years has made a tremendous difference across the region. Every Arbor Day, he works with volunteers to plant trees in public areas. And on Clean the Bay Day, Roger is there with other volunteers and corporations removing trash from our waterways. Every year, he supervises a team during an event called Paddle for the Border at the Great Dismal Swamp National Wildlife Refuge. And it was also Roger Fuller's family that helped to create Oscar's Landing, an award-winning project to establish a wetlands in the South Norfolk section of Chesapeake.
He is such a kind person and such a nice person that not only does he do the work, but he helps us recruit other people to work with us as well. People like to work with Roger. When he's working on something, they ask if they can work too.
I'm going to give you my next batch.
He's a dynamic guy to work with, very knowledgeable in a lot of different areas, not just environment. He's always there, one of the first ones there, is ready to go. Very instrumental in our meetings, monthly meetings. If he has an idea, he has no problem bringing it up. And when Roger talks, a lot of people listen.
I try to work with young adults because they're our future. They see we lead by example, and by leading by example, they say, hey, maybe I can do something with this in my little part of the world, and they become very successful at it, I think.
He's worked with us for 24 years, and he's done a little bit of everything. He works every year with his family at Clean the Bay Day. He's planted trees for Arbor Day. You name it, he's done it. He's represented us at city council meetings. He helps to clean up the streets.
I know the Chesapeake Environmental Improvement Council has adopted a section of Greenbrier Parkway as our Adopt a Highway spot, and we clean that up on a quarterly basis. And I try and make most of those, but I know I miss some, but I've never been there when Roger hasn't been there.
He's headed the poster contest and judges posters every year with school children that have entered that contest.
It really makes a difference over the years seeing these poster contests and actually seeing the growth of some of these kids all the way through as far as their outlook on what they believe that the environment should look like and enhance what we're trying to do for Chesapeake.
You never see him upset about anything. He gets the job done, and he gives the credit to others too.
I consider what I do as just a minimal part of what a team of us as individuals that become members of the Environmental Council and also the local community. We partner when we do a special project, for example, Arbor Day. We also enlisted all the community individuals that would like to participate on that given day. And what they try to do is we work together, shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, to really promote the environment and trees and planting of plants and so forth. So we really, along with the council, really try to work with our community brothers and sisters to bring an enhancement of what the beauty of Chesapeake is.
I love to work with Roger on Arbor Day because he loves the trees, he loves working with the volunteers, and he often chooses a place that involves a school. I know this year he was at Deep Creek High School. He worked with one of the school administration people who works in science, and they together showed people why they were planting the trees. So they took it upon themselves not just to plant the trees, but they showed them how to plant a tree, and then talked a little bit about why it's a good thing to plant trees on these properties. And he takes things another step further. He tries to recruit people to take care of those trees after they plant the trees. So he takes a project, he owns it, and he looks after it. He nurtures it from start to finish. But the whole time you're there, he's cracking jokes. So it's fun, too.
We do have a legacy that we need to preserve and leave to our kids and to make what we have maybe a little better place as they go on, and to provide a better life for them in our environment and keeping things clean and green.
When it comes to public safety, we honored the Chesapeake Health Investment Program, or CHIP, which focuses on improving children's health. The program's regional Sleep Tight program has reduced the risk of sudden infant death syndrome and infant mortality. CHIP gives low-income parents proper cribs and an opportunity to attend a 1-hour safe sleeping educational program. Since its inception in 2008, hundreds of high-risk families in Hampton Roads have gotten the knowledge and the supplies they need to help their children sleep safe and sound.
Oh, something fell down in the other room. Parenting is a hard job. The people that work with CHIP and Healthy Families and even the Sleep Tight program educate new parents about how to be parents in better ways, how to keep their children safe when they sleep.
We're learning about SIDS, what not to put in a crib when the baby's sleeping. Everyone loves the little animals when the baby, but you learn that it's not exactly safe for the baby to be sleeping with the animals and to have to sleep on their back. Basically a better way for you and your baby to be safer.
Lock these pressures in, make sure they're locked.
We want to educate the public about safe sleeping. A child is 40 times more likely to wake up healthy if they've gone to bed in a crib at night. We want to make sure that every child has that opportunity. Save the heartache that comes with infant death. It is the leading cause of death for a child between 7 days old and 1 year old is an unsafe sleeping environment. So we just think this is a way to reach out, educate the public about safe sleeping, and actually provide the cribs for folks who can't afford them.
Put it down.
People were doing home visits and finding children sleeping in drawers, sleeping in baskets, and worst of all, co-sleeping with their parents, which puts their lives in danger.
Unfortunately, we've seen an increase in deaths because a parent may roll over and suffocate the child without realizing it. But yet we fully appreciate the joy, actually, of having the child in the room and the convenience of having the child in the room, so that when they wake at night, you're right there and you can feed them and you can provide attention to them and you can hear them. They're smaller cribs than a lot of the other cribs, and they can fit nicely in your room, so it's co-sleeping but not co-bedding.
And out. Can you take this back out again?
They've really done a nice job at establishing a network through existing early childhood, early home visiting programs to try to capture as many of the families that need these cribs as possible.
This was a program that was not funded through any other government agency or anywhere else, and we really had to go out and fundraise right from the grassroots up, and it was one crib at a time. And then it was incorporating the educational piece with the parents. It's not just about getting a crib, it's about really learning how to use a crib appropriately and understanding, the whole concept of safe sleeping and why it's so important.
Where did that sound come from?
The uniqueness of it is that it beautifully looks at the data and has developed an alternative that solves the problem. So it really is founded on information at hand, and then it's founded on a real solution, not just a feel-good thing, but a real solution.
Our mission at Chesapeake Health Investment Program is really to make sure that every child has a healthy start in life, that they are ready to enter school, ready to learn, and it's a child abuse and neglect prevention program, so we just want to make sure every child has a chance to reach their full potential.
Retired Rear Admiral Ray Taylor is the president of the Future of Hampton Roads organization. While serving on the Hampton Roads Regional Structure Project a few years back, Ray got involved in plans for transportation in the region. Through exhaustive research, detailed interviews, and numerous site surveys, Ray's been instrumental in plans to bring high-speed rail to Hampton Roads.
Several years ago, the Future of Hampton Roads initiated a Hampton Roads Regional Structure Project. After we did some brainstorming, we set up study groups, one of which was on transportation and particularly the Metropolitan Planning Organization. And Ray chaired that group.
I was blessed with some wonderful people, and when we started, we started from a clean sheet of paper.
He's just a bulldog when it comes to getting the facts together about how something works. The latest was high-speed rail.
6 or 8 months ago, for the first time ever, passenger rail has been included as an agenda item in TPO board meetings. They've been on other MPO board meetings for decades.
He had over 800 individual interviews over the past probably 3 years or so, not only to learn more about transportation, but to help educate others about that, so that when the conversation about reforming the Metropolitan Planning Organization was ripe to transform that to the Transportation Planning Organization, you know, Ray had significant resources to bring to that conversation in terms of his own knowledge and best practices other places.
They have imported and adopted something on the order of 50+ best practices in the past 2 years. None of them easy, but all of them now very comforting.
We were dealing with some issue, and I had a question about the issue, but I recognized that the question had the potential to be, you know, a little provocative or a little contentious, and yeah, so I went to Ray and I said to Ray, I'm not sure I understand this, you know, but if I ask this question, am I going to open this Pandora's box? You know, and he looked at me in his very steady, thoughtful way, and he said, yes, you probably will, but you should ask the question anyway. And I think that's the way that Ray has approached this.
High-speed rail is 110 or above.
Ray's experience in the Navy has been very important to his ability to be effective. He is not shy about dealing with other people in government.
The generosity of his knowledge and his willingness to share what he learned, again, in a neutral, nonpartisan, unbiased way. His only client, as it were, his only constituent, you know, was the region. And for a single person to do that, you always hear that Margaret Mead quote about, you know, never believe that one person can't change the world, because that indeed is the only thing that has. In this case, you know, Ray Taylor changed the face of transportation in this region.
This challenge is different than all those in the past, which might have been bigger challenges. I've learned maybe more about human nature than I did in all of those years. I wish I had the feelings that I now have then. Because our job requires enormous patience, endless patience. You always back off. We are in the business of giving unsolicited advice, constantly. And that's not always welcome. We are trying to urge improvement. That's a euphemism for change. And change is not what people are necessarily interested in. So it's enormously difficult, but it's enormously important. And so that's been a wonderful experience, actually.
And finally tonight, social justice. When the members of the Gloucester County Citizens for Accountable Representation petitioned for the removal of 4 city supervisors, they got widespread attention for their actions. This group of 40 citizens found that the Code of Virginia was written to make it virtually impossible to remove an elected official from office. Well, they decided that the code had to be changed, and they got to work. After a number of challenges, that bill was indeed changed.
Gloucester, Virginia. This relatively small community saw a big battle between its citizens and 4 members of its Board of Supervisors.
It started on a January morning in 2008. I was sitting at my breakfast table reading the morning paper, and my wife said, "Oh my gosh, you have to hear this." And she started reading Matt Sabo's article about the board meeting of January 2 and 3. As she read, I became infuriated. It became clear that a small group of our supervisors had gotten together in secret and had plotted their moves for that meeting. One of the first things they did was fire the county attorney and the county administrator, summarily, humiliatingly, and embarrassingly. Then, to add insult to injury, that very same few moments they hired a friend of the board chair to be the interim county administrator at the meager salary of $10,000 a month.
Local citizen Gar Johnson was equally outraged. He knew the Board of Supervisors could be removed at the ballot box, but the next election was years away. So after doing some research, he discovered elected officials could be removed by petition.
I started out trying to find out from the voter registrar, tried to get the forms to effect a recall petition. We found out there wasn't a recall petition, it's a removal petition. Then we tried to get the forms that the people collecting signatures could use. There was no form available. So we took a form that they instructed us to use and marked it up. Then we took it to 3 different attorneys who volunteered to look at it. They all passed on the form that we came up with. We took it back to the registrar's office. They said it was fine. And then we launched off on Mission Impossible.
We set up in various places all over the county, mainly at very visible, very accessible places such as the post office, the library. We even set up on Route 17 where we could hit people coming home from work. We had a funny instance where a lady actually saw the sign where we were collecting, couldn't turn in because she was headed south on 17, drove across the bridge, made a U-turn, came back, pulled off and actually signed a petition and then turned around and went back to work.
Close to 6,000 signatures were collected, and they could have gathered even more, but they actually stopped because they were told that any signatures above the minimum number needed would not be counted. The petitions were taken before a judge who rejected them on a technicality. To make matters even worse, the judge hit the group known as the Gloucester 40 with an $80,000 fine, which represented a portion of the legal fees of the Board of Supervisors they were trying to remove. The Gloucester 40 took their fight to Richmond to make sure that this could not happen to anyone else in Virginia.
Delegate Morgan, Delegate Geer, and Senator Norman submitted House Bill 2465, which was to amend the law. The existing law allowed sanctions to be levied on people who submitted petitions. This was a direct violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution. I learned through this that right is not a guarantee. It can be taken away by government or by judicial action if we're not vigilant.
But then Governor Kane wanted to add an amendment to the bill which said these protections to future petitioners would not apply if their acts were of malicious intent. This one change to the bill would dramatically weaken it, so the Gloucester 40 went back to Richmond to lobby for the bill's passage in its original form. The bill was reintroduced, and Governor Kane signed it into law without his amendment.
The lesson is, for me, to never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world, and in fact we feel that we changed our community.
Well, what about it? Do you know of someone or some group that's making a positive difference in Hampton Roads? Just visit our website, whatmatters.tv, and share your suggestions with us. There you'll also find many ways to contact us, both online and by way of post. Our street address is 5200 Hampton Boulevard, Norfolk 23508, and you can reach our office at 889-9425. I'm Kathy Lewis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time for another look at what matters.
The Future of Hampton Roads is all volunteer, small think tank. We're actually the dreamers for this region. Somebody else has to do the work. But we hope we tee up the dreams with compelling logic.
You know, we've been called criminals for doing this. What we've been trying to do all of this time is simply make a point that what the supervisors did was wrong, and we tried to remove them, and we were told, you can't do that because your petitions weren't quite written the way we wanted them to be written, although if there's no standard for what's right, why were ours wrong?
Basically, I just started out this program, I just wanted to help young men, that's all, nothing extra. And as of lately, it seemed like doors just been opening up.
They really have made a difference in Chesapeake and our region because we transcend not only the Chesapeake Environmental Council, but also we impact in Norfolk, Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, and so forth. And as I always tell people, I'm basically the front man, and I really like to share this honor with the men and women over the years with the Chesapeake Environmental Improvement Council.
Thank you to our whole network of partners that we have across Hampton Roads. This is not just being done in Chesapeake, but we have partnered with other CHIP and Healthy Family sites to solve this problem that should be very simple to solve. It is very simple. Put babies in cribs and save lives.
Our community is truly better for all of these people. It shows the power of paying special attention to someone. It shows the power of being passionate about a cause, and it shows the power of doing things that you don't have to do just because they're good and they're right. And that's an exciting thing to recognize.